We're now ready to start with Ward 5. The candidates we have is Mr. Dasinger, Miss Guzman, and Miss Holloway. And by random choice, Miss Guzman will be our first speaker, and we will go in the exact opposite order on the closing statements. And I'm going to ask the questions from here, and they're going to sit there and they will have the same 1 minute to answer the question. They're going to kind of pass the microphone around. So without any further delay, welcome Miss Guzman, please.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for this opportunity. The last time I did this, I looked like I was having a stroke. I forgot my name. I didn't know I had children. My husband was questionable. And I forgot I moved here. So, first of all, my name is Valerie Guzman. I've lived here over 25 years. I'm the proud mother of 3 children. My husband, Caterino Guzman, is a veteran. He served 3 tours in Iraq. My father is in the back, and he's a Vietnam vet of 3 tours, and I love him a bunch. I also have a son-in-law who serves in the reserves, and my son is in the Army as we speak. So everything that I say is near and dear to my heart. Even one step further, I have a brother who's a police officer, so I'm all in the emotions in the mix. So when I come to serve, I come strong, because everything is important to me. Do I know it all? Absolutely not. But will I research it? Will I look for it? Will I work hard to make it happen? I sure will. My name is Valerie Guzman. I am the current councilwoman for Ward 5, and I'd be proud to treat you all right. Thank you.
I just would like to remind everyone again that before we have Mr. Dasinger come up, that on YouTube, if you go to YouTube, you put in Way Clarksville Forum. You can watch the forum there on YouTube. And at this time, we will have Mr. Dasinger.
My name is Joey Dasinger. I'm running for City Council Ward 5. I am running on a platform of limited government and individual liberty. I highly believe that, as Mr. Westfall said earlier, that the government that governs least governs best. And that about myself, I have lived here for about 3 years. I work at a manufacturing plant, and I have a wife and 3 young children. And I just want to be a voice for people who share my beliefs on the limited government, and try to do well for Clarksville, and hopefully stop the increase in property taxes and sorts of things like that, and spend responsibly on things that government should be focused on rather than just whatever people want. And it's not that people don't always get just what they want. You know, it's not about mob rule. It's about what government's purpose really is, and I think that I can try to work to be the voice into that. So, thank you.
And now we'll hear from Miss Holloway.
Hi everyone, my name is Holloway. Thank you so much for having me here, and I look forward to getting to talk to you guys all later too. So, I moved to Clarksville 2 years ago. My husband was serving in the Army at that time. He was a captain in the Army, working in logistics, so we moved around quite a lot. I was a stay-at-home mom prior to that, and started my own business during that time, and currently am a realtor now. When we moved here, we made the decision that we were going to stay here. We did a lot of research on places we could go, and Clarksville was where we chose to go, and that's because we love it. It's a wonderful place with lots of opportunities, not only for us, but for our 3 kids, and gives them a nice place to grow up with awesome weather, because we get all 4 seasons, right? So that's really cool. I started in politics as a teenager. I worked in the city commissioner's office at 16, where I helped get elected, as well as on the 2002 presidential election within our city. I did a lot of campaigning and stuff. So when I went to college, I went to Southern Oregon University in Ashland, Oregon, where I continued to fight for the causes that I loved and work with student bodies to get our students taken care of on campus. So this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I was born to serve, and I was born to serve in the city. And I want to grow my city, I want to make my city better, and I want to do it with the help of everybody else that we can. So thank you guys so much.
Okay, now we will go for the question. I think I'm going to change my mind and sit over there on the side. I think it would be better to help pass this around. Okay. Can you hold this for me?
You need to sit next to Valerie.
Yeah, because your head's going to be in front of the camera.
Oh,
So we just need to shift a little
okay,
bit.
well. Okay,
We've officially just played musical chairs.
yes.
No,
Right, Way Clarksville spares no expense. Okay. Now we get this clock going. We get some questions. Let's start off with this one. I'll start with Ms. Holloway first. And we'll go this way. And stop me if you have to go first every time. Say, I've already, don't be ashamed to say, hey, I already went first every time. Let me start by saying, why do you want to be a city council person?
So I think that the most gets done in our government at a city level. It's what affects us the most every single day. Who runs our city, they choose where our tax money goes, how our kids' schools are, the amenities that we have. And I want to serve on the city level because of that. I want to focus on my city specifically instead of focusing on the entire country as a whole, which is also important, but not where I want to be. So, okay.
I'm running for city council because, you know, I see government overreach at every level, but I know that the most influence you can do is at the local level, and being able to stop the overreach at city government, you have more of a voice, and you actually, you know, have more interaction with your constituents as well. So those are things that I want to focus on. And be able to stop the, you know, it's easy to shout about the $20 trillion in debt we are in the federal government, but, you know, there's more of what you can do at the local level. So that's why I decided to run.
Well, for me, it's not why am I running, it's why am I running again. For the first 4 years, I was figuring it out. And now that I'm in my second part of it, I want to continue on those things that I walked through. And some of those things is it was very selfish. I'm the mother of 3. I almost knocked one off, don't tell her. I'm the mother of 3, but I decided I didn't want them to leave. So I wanted to bring good industry here. I wanted this to be a great place for my kids to grow up and stay. I had that. I was a mom with a mission. I'm still a mom with a mission. So one of the reasons why I ran, because I know I can make a difference. I have no hidden agenda. I go to work every day. I work hard every day. And on my spare time, I sit and I study and I read on what's to do next. And I'm never ashamed to ask for help. I go to my department heads and I ask questions. That's who I am. That's why I'm running for city council for the second time. Thank you.
Just hold on to it. This time you get to go first.
I did that already. No.
Don't get me off track. It's the first day with my new brain. It's not working. Okay. What is the role, in your opinion, of government?
So, I know that when we came here as a nation, we were a nation of second sons. So if you understand what that means, in Europe, right, the first son got all of the inheritance. So the second sons came here to start a nation. Well, we're a generation of second sons. So one of the things they wanted to do was make it not so much like Mother England, right? So they wanted to do, what is our government going to look like? Well, the people. It started off with we the people. And then we started off with, well, what do we want our government to do? They wanted us to make us secure. So our number one job in security, in a government, is security. It's making sure that we're safe to meet our dreams, to raise our children, and to serve our God. That is what the government's job is.
Ms. Holloway?
All right, so what's government's job?
What is the role of government? What is government's role? What should government do? Its role?
The government's role, security is important. Okay, government is about making sure that people are taken care of, and I guess that would come with the security. Our job as people is to protect each other and build a good world, love each other, and all of those kinds of things, and the government needs to support that. We should be all one. We should be supporting each other and taking care of it, and the government needs to support all those things without giving everything to everyone either. So we need to support and help up, but not help hold down. So.
I believe that the role of government is simply to protect the rights of the individuals, that we should be able to go about our day and not be constrained by the will of the majority, because that's why we're, as a nation, that's why we're a republic and not a democracy. The rights of the minority are important, because if that minority is not free, then, I mean, in a sense, really nobody's free, because once somebody else, somebody in the majority changes to become the minority, then they're held down, they would be held down just as the way they were holding down the other person before. It's not so much, yeah, security is important, but if we lose sight of our individual freedoms because we're trying to be safe, then what do we gain? Benjamin Franklin said that if we give up a little bit of our freedoms for a little bit of security, then we lose both. And so I think individual liberty is the most important thing.
Okay, and now this will, or could not, well, this will come up. And we talked about this before. Should the city council fund nonprofit organizations privately that's not city departments or anything? And who's, go, Joey's, okay.
All right, well, I think that, nonprofits should be supported by individual people and not by our tax dollars. Tax dollars are a form of coercion, and therefore, you're forcing people to fund these nonprofits or charities, and charity should not be forced. Charity should be charity, which means love. I mean, you give out of your heart. We shouldn't have to take a city collection and hand it out to these people. People should be willing to give as they're willing and not be forced to do so.
So my view on, we should be giving. We should be helping take care of people out of our own hearts. But the problem is that we still have a lot of people who don't have that option. Nonprofits provide services that you may not be able to get in other places and can be important. Do I think the city should be responsible for that? I think that we as citizens should be responsible for taking care of and helping those in need. And not everyone gives in charity. Not everyone is doing that, and it's a way to protect those people.
So let me first start off with a little ticket that goes underneath me and say I work for a nonprofit. However, for the first 2 years, I was very, like, we should give, because I'm a giver, and I think that as a body, we should give. But then in the second half, I watched it change and manipulate how some people were trying to get their money. And I don't want to be a part of that. When you give out of what Joey said, love, you give more. I mean, I absolutely work for, and I get it. When I work, I know I'm not getting any. So it doesn't matter how I view it, because I don't get any, and I know that stepping into the nonprofit and them knowing that I work for the city, I expect no money from the city at all. So I get that. However, I've watched it get to the place where it gets to be hard, and I think that we're going to have to figure out a different plan. I think we can do workplace programs in the city, like through United Way or however you want to do it. That works. We're getting more money in our nonprofit than what we would have gotten in the city just because people love us. And that's just wide open, and I'm serious. So for me right now, the first 2 years I would have been like, yes, because I believe in that. I'm a tither, and I believe that we should give. However, I've watched it not be so good. And I watch people squabble over what should be the best one. We should give to this. And if you're a Christian, you're like, well, we got to feed all the hungry. And then if you're like totally into music, we should give. And then now we're one more fight. I don't know if you noticed, but we don't need one more fight on city council. So with that being said, I would say for us as a city, I think we should remove it. We can do it in a different way. Thank you.
I asked this earlier, and several years ago, the state legislature left it up to the cities to decide whether or not those persons that have a licensed carry permit should be allowed to have their weapon in the parks, like the Green Way or the Blue Way, or in parks that is just licensed carry permit holders. If they tried to remove this, the city council, and do away with carry permit holders having guns in parks, are you going to support that, or will you be against carry permit holders, or against them trying to take that away and allow them to have their weapon in the parks?
So this is an easy one. Our Second Amendment gives us the right to bear arms, and if you have a weapon or a concealed permit, you should be allowed to carry wherever, and it shouldn't be an issue, and the government should not be taking away our guns.
I don't think that there should be a limit on where we have our guns. And as far as concealed carry permit, a license is basically just the government taking away your right to do something and sell it back to you. So I don't even think we should have to have concealed carry permit. That's not really part of the question, but yeah, we shouldn't have to. I mean, we should be able to carry in parks or wherever, because it's our rights to defend ourselves. And things can go awry in a park or any other kind of building. So that's my thoughts.
So my opinions on guns in parks. It doesn't matter whether I want to carry a gun. But it is not okay for someone to say, if I took the time and got the license and I'm allowed to carry, the state gave us the right. So that in an estate establishment, a park that's a state park, I should be able to do that. Now, if you go into someone's house, like, you can't come in my house with your gun, you have to leave it in the trunk. I'm just letting you know right now. However, but that's my private, right? But when it comes to our state buildings, not federal, because we've got problems there too, but in state parks, we've got to be able to make sure that we're not putting too many fingers, too many hands on our people, because when it happens, we rebel, and it's not been good so far. Thank you.
Let's see here. We talked about this before too. The green certification that the city of Clarksville has come up with. Of course, the city inspects even its own departments and certifies like CDE or the police department or whatnot. And it also gives, if a business goes through the classes and they do what is necessary, they will put the seal on the city business door. It says it is green certified. On the city website, one of the reasons it says why you should become city why you should become green certified is because one of the reasons it says in the future, it's going to become mandatory. It's kind of like saying you need to get ahead of the curve. So my question is, should it become mandatory? And do you see that there might be a conflict where government is inspecting businesses to give them the certification, and maybe they should use a private company, which do exist, that could certify, not the city doing it? Or would you just kind of say government should just get out of that altogether? What are your thoughts, and who goes first?
I go first. Well, now you put me in another tight spot. You know I just came from the green certification banquet.
Oh, well, sorry.
I mean, did you? So for me, green certification means the everyday thing. You know what I mean? Turning off your lights, being mindful of your water, water your grass at night because in the daytime you use more water. Those are the basics. Now, do we have to go super high tech? I don't think so. Do I think that our city probably needed to be jump started? Absolutely, because we weren't doing anything in that. And since the green certification program started in 2011, 900,000 tons of trash was saved from our landfills. So Clarksville is big size, but we still have to figure out what to do with our trash. It doesn't have to be government. I don't think any private industry came here. I think if a private industry would have come, I think they would have hired them on. But the problem is nobody came, and we still had trash. So if somebody comes in and has a better offer, absolutely. But I still think we need to take care of our trash. I don't think we need to say the sky is falling. That never happens, right? But I think we need to take care of our earth. I think we need to take care of our city. I kind of like my kids to live here, so that's mine. I think we have to do the everyday, and it's just, a lady told me earlier, it just takes one, and I think that was great for her to tell me that.
Can you re-ask the question?
The green certification, should it become mandatory? Should a private sector do it instead of the government inspecting itself, like with CDE or the gas and water? And or should we just do away with it altogether and just let and not have a green certification?
I don't think it should be mandatory because government shouldn't be mandatory. It shouldn't force things on businesses. The thing about private industries coming in, I've talked to somebody in the past who worked for an environmental aid company, and basically they get hired to come in and pass everything that goes along, and if they don't pass it, then they'll hire somebody else. That's something I've heard from, and I don't know that the city would do that, but it's something that they're willing to do, and so yeah, I don't trust that to work. And you also open up to cronyism, where you have the city hiring out private businesses, and they might pick the best one based on who the pals are or who's donating to their causes, and that's an issue there. I think mostly we just can get out of it, and if people don't want to. People see that those places are not being green friendly, and they don't agree with that. They think that they should be green friendly. Then the free market should dictate, based on, okay, if they lose business because they're not green friendly, then that means other businesses will thrive. Or if the people don't care, people don't care as much if they're green friendly, then they'll continue to go there. I mean, and hopefully it'll be dictated through people wanting that to happen rather than government coercion.
So I'm a little bit in the middle, which is a surprise, but I grew up in Portland, Oregon, Oregon's a really green state. We recycled, we did all of that stuff. It's ingrained in who I am. I also know how amazing it can be. It can save money, on the governmental level because we don't have as much trash that we're dealing with. It keeps our streets cleaner, it keeps our water cleaner, and so do I think the government should be the one overseeing it? I don't. I think that there's private sectors that can do that. I'm a fan of private business coming in. That's how we should have revenue and all of that happening. But it would be amazing for our city and bring really great things here. The government should probably stay out of that.
Very good. Okay. And this will probably, and Valerie can probably, Ms. Guzman can testify to this, this probably will at some point come up to the city council. A lot of these issues probably will. That's why I ask these questions. They're different from the Chamber of Commerce. These are actual things. And I think this will probably come up. We have a LGBT activist that spoke once to the city council, and his wishes that he said that he would like to see sometime in the future, and I think this is what he is going to ask for, is that the city of Clarksville recognize the LGBT community as part of the 1968 Civil Rights Act that was passed in 1968, under Lyndon Johnson. It was passed with the statement of minorities and women and age, disabilities.
And sexual orientation.
That wasn't sexual orientation at that time in 1968, no. But they would like for our city to do similar what Nashville has done and insert LGBT with the same recognition that the 1968 Civil Rights Act did for minorities and women and disabled persons or whatnot. Whose turn is it to go first? Should we do that?
Okay, so the Civil Rights Act is a lot about fair housing and not discriminating people for age and religion and all those type of things. I'm against discrimination, and I'm against discrimination. I know that sexual orientation isn't part of the national yet, and it would have to be a discussion on whether we wanted to change that here, specifically because it's not in the national definition for the Civil Rights Act at this point. But discrimination shouldn't happen in housing or in any other place. So.
That's a question mark.
Okay. The 1968 Civil Rights Act that was passed in 1968 included minorities, blacks, Indians, race, religion. But at that time there was no mention, of course, of LGBT at that point in the 1968 Civil Rights Act. The city of Nashville, with its policies, they wanted to include LGBT to be part of the 1968 Civil Rights Act, or to recognize it as part of the act. And should we recognize it as part of the original act in Clarksville?
I want to say, isn't that federal?
No.
Wouldn't that be
No.
a federal? That would have, for that change to happen, it would have to go on a federal
Not
format.
to
And
recognize it.
and a lot of the times once you start to discriminate against anybody, it doesn't matter if their sexual orientation, it then allows us to no longer get grants in certain instances. So for instance, if we discriminate at the Sexual Assault Center where I work, if we discriminate against someone because of their sexual orientation, we will no longer get the grants that provide the services that we allow free services to people who can't get it. So someone can't come in if we automatically move that out the way. So we would have to be mindful if we do that. I don't think that we can, because I believe that's a federal act. I think we can maybe put aside, we won't make it legal one way or the other. I think we can be as part of a recognition, but I don't think we can. Because every day, no matter what I do, I'm still going to be a black woman. I can't hide behind that. And even if 1968 shows up, people are going to have the compassionate people. So I don't think that we can on a civil level. I don't care what they did in Nashville, it's probably going to be wrong. But I think that has to go through the Supreme Court which they're not supposed to make law, they're supposed to just enforce law, but that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that later. But anyways, but it has to go to that part before it can come to us, before we can make decisions. It has to be made there, and then we're asked to vote on it. I don't think we get to make that law.
I don't think at the city level, like as far as what government does, that they should be able to really discriminate on any level as far as, every individual is a citizen or a resident of the city and pays taxes in some way. As far as, how that goes to private businesses, I'm a little wary of the anti-discrimination laws. I think to some degree, like private businesses should be able to discriminate as they please. As I said, free market would dictate how people respond to that, to boycotts and whatnot. But if it's a city function or something that's already protected through the government, then they shouldn't have discrimination.
The conference center. There's been talk again, several years ago there was a conference center that was passed by the city, but then the people made a petition, they put it on a referendum and it was voted down 70-30, but they're talking now about putting a conference center now. Does Clarksville need a conference center? And if we do, if it's needed really badly, why hasn't the private sector put it in there? So do you think that we need to do it, the city, or do you think we should wait for the private sector?
Well, you didn't ask it the way you did with Mr. Westfall, but yeah. I don't think that the city should be paying for it, and if it is needed, like as you said, if the private sector hasn't done it, then we citizens need to reach out to people who have the money to put up the funds for that and try to get them to build it. It should be using taxpayer dollars for something like this when there are probably more important things to pay for.
I feel like we already have a conference center at the event center in Liberty Park that people could use that is still underutilized. So I don't think that we need another one. The city also has a ton of things that they're trying to build right now, and we have lots of issues, especially in infrastructure with our roads, that could be taken care of instead of a conference center. If people need a conference center, it will happen. It will private sector, but they have places here to use already that are being underutilized. So there's no reason not to do that.
Sorry.
Did y'all feel that?
It's like discrimination. Yeah. Sorry.
No.
Okay, that saves some time. I'll just go ahead and reset the clock there. Well, there was some talk, and there is talk about, and this is in the future, but the planning and everything is, and the talk of it is now, of spending billions of dollars to have a train that would go to Nashville. And in the light of, I think most of us have heard of what happened to Amtrak after it got built. And now this train, though, would cost billions, and I'm talking about with a B. And just exactly for sure, grants were mentioned earlier. So even if there is some grants that would come from the state and federal government, should we look at building the train to Nashville? What are your thoughts for billions of dollars? Who goes first? Okay.
So we had billions of dollars to spend for a train. I think we should spend the billions of dollars in our city.
Amen.
Because if we can get our dollar to float the city 7 times, we could bring that stuff, whatever we're going there, we can bring it here. So whatever we're traveling out there for, jobs, restaurants, malls, if we had billions, right? They would come here, and then Nashville would have to get the train to come to Clarksville. Thank you very much.
Now, I was just thinking what she was saying is that
That was a good one.
Nashville will be benefiting more because more people will probably travel to Nashville for work and such things rather than people coming from Nashville to Clarksville. So yeah, we spend, we don't have the billions, I don't think, for looking for federal grants. I don't think we should be taking federal grants. We should be trying to work within our means as a city, because otherwise we're going to be held down by the requirements that those grants come with. So we want to keep, not spend the billions that we don't have. We want to, keep the millions that we have here in Clarksville and not run up our debt even more. So.
Billions of dollars. Billions. And I went to the meeting about it, and they said that they would never be profitable. Ever. Never be profitable. And we spend billions of dollars, and then we're giving our citizens of Clarksville a train to go spend all their money down in Nashville. So it's taking money out of our own city. So it's a good idea in theory, but it's way too much money, and it would take a lot. We have to fix here first. Otherwise, everyone's just going to go there, and we want them to stay here because it's awesome. So.
Now I'm going to go on to the subject and this could come back for I know it's coming back for the county, I think this time, is the TIF. And we bought, this passed with the city by one vote. If one person would have changed their vote, the city would not have participated in the TIF. But in any case, this is a two-part question. The TIF that gives the incentive for private business owners to build and develop or improve downtown, because there is, many people believe that the downtown, I guess, is blighted or a terrible problem, so they need to have this incentive dollars to put down there. The question is, the CBID, that board, they have the say-so. The applicant that wants these incentive dollars, they submit this to the CBID. And the CBID, they are the ones that approve or disapprove. And if they approve it, the city council, elected officials, do not have the final say-so. This is a non-elected body, and some people did not like it that a non-elected body does not have the final say-so. If you're elected to the city council and there's an amendment that says that the elected body, the city, will have the final say-so, will you support the city having the final say-so on who is approved for this TIF tax dollars?
Yes. That's the easy answer. Like, that is the answer. Yes, we should. Our citizens pay taxes. That's our job, is to make sure those taxes are protected.
When I first heard about the TIF, the first thing, I read one paragraph on it and I saw the words, taxpayer funds going to private industry, and I'm like, no, that should not be happening. That's not the purpose of taxpayer dollars, and if private industry wants to flourish, then they should invest. Perhaps, if anything, tax breaks could happen, but our tax dollars aren't meant to go to private industry. As far as the question, as it is, and if it were to change that way, of course, the city council should have say in it, and if I was there, I would say, I personally would probably not vote for anyone to receive the money because it's taxpayer money. It doesn't belong to us, private industries.
So this year I went to Leadership Clarksville, and one of the things that I had to do was why downtown? We have lost more industry because of how our downtown looks, just because it doesn't look busy, just because there was empty parking lots, just because there wasn't. So I looked at it, well, what can we do to add more tax incentives to our downtown? Well, if we have a zoning called an R6. What that R6 allows is like, you can have a business at the bottom, have apartments at the top, and give that mixed use look, feel. Which is also one of the reasons why, I don't know any of you know about the Gulch in downtown Nashville. The Gulch made that change because of a TIF. Now, one of the things I did, because I wanted some kind of movement, but I also asked, can we have an out if this doesn't work? So we have an out. As the city of Clarksville, as we wrote it in, we can step out of it. So we're not stuck, but we're stuck in the not moving at all part. And is it a little bit scary? Yeah, it is a little bit scary, but it's scary every time we do something. But if we didn't, we would never fly. Boats would never float. We have to try something, whether we get it all or not. And at the end of the day, if we don't like it, give it 2 years. If we haven't made change, if businesses haven't come, then we can step out of it. Because see, we're stuck at a tax rate of $208,000 that stays ours. It's only the money over the $208,000 that goes towards the TIF. So if it doesn't work, we can stop. The county has the bigger part of the money. We don't even have the bigger part. So at the end of the day, our little bit, which is 30%, is not moving and shaking. But if we don't want to do it, we can walk away. But we can't be afraid to try. I think that would be a wrong place for Clarksville. Because I think we're absolutely fighters in here. I know we are. So we can try something new. And if it doesn't work, we can walk away.
Okay, I want to follow up this time on that question. I did not get the second part clarification from the three.
Oh, wait.
If you want,
Yes.
would you vote to, if you want to keep the TIF and you want to give tax dollars to a private individual as an incentive for him to invest in downtown, should that applicant and that application, like if we have board members that are, a board will appoint someone, but the final say-so comes to the city council and we vote on those board positions. Should the elected officials have final say-so, and if that amendment comes up to amend this TIF, would you vote to allow the city to have the city government, yourselves, the council, final say-so on TIFs?
So this is the question that I actually answered. So the answer to that is yes.
Okay.
The TIF has a lot of really great opportunities. Private businesses like having tax incentives. It really encourages them. But the city should have the final say, just like the way all the other departments function. And so I would definitely vote for that.
I would vote to have the city council have the say-so over an independent board. And like I said, I would vote against it. Against giving the money out.
So I personally would have wanted that, but that wasn't an option to us. So the county told us no, it couldn't come back to us. So I said, well, if it can't come back to us, can we cancel if we don't want to? That was my option then. And then can we have people from the council be on that board? And then that's where they said yes. So I found a medium ground. So if they later on say, okay, well, it can come back to city council, then of course I absolutely would, but that wasn't an option to us. So it wasn't that we didn't vote because we didn't want it. We didn't have that as an option.
Okay, we talked a little bit about federal grants. how far should you go with a federal grant? If we have something for, like our buses, for instance, that is heavily subsidized by federal grants, and it's and the fees that the buses are using, it does not come close for the upkeep and for the cost of it. How far should you go with a federal grant if it's a losing proposition for? But are you going to just say, well, it's federal dollars, and if something is a bad proposition, it's losing money, you keep on doing it just because it's a federal grant?
There should not be a federal Department of Transportation, and therefore we should not be taking federal dollars from that.
So in reality, I just talked to the guy who's over transportation. He said we are 10,000 more citizens that move to Clarksville. We won't be able to have the grants anyway. So we won't have it.
I agree with Joe on this one. So there shouldn't be federal grants coming down for that anyway. So.
Yeah.
Is there a question from the audience that I missed? Elka, did you get a question from the audience? Okay.
If you're saying only the money above the point goes to the tip, okay, that increase of money is because there's inflation. And that increase of money will not be available to the city. So that money will have to come from other citizens that are not part of that TIF area. Am I right? So you'll increase everyone's taxes throughout the city so that this TIF area can grow.
Actually, when you think about it, after a while, because the $208,000 that we have is just for that small portion of the downtown. That's all it made. Even, and like I said, if it doesn't work, we can walk away from it because that's all it made in 2000. Our portion, that's all it made in 2015. That $208,000. Yes, sir.
But if we walk away from that, that leaves the county holding the bag. And everybody that lives in the city not only has to pay the city taxes, we have to pay the county taxes too.
Right.
So we're going to get hit no matter what happens, whether the city walks away from it and the county takes the whole burden. We're still on the hook.
Absolutely. And so what happened was the county was going to do it with or without us. With or without us. So if we didn't, we wouldn't at least have a say in what comes down.
Oh, hold it. We're going to get into it.
Yes.
Helga was to take their questions, a written question.
So we'll go right side to 6
Okay. Yeah. Then what we'll do then, we will go to the closing statements. And I can't remember, but you guys remember who's supposed to go first. So we'll have, you want to just do your closing statement here, hon? Okay.
Thank you guys so much for having us here. And I always love these because I love hanging out and talking with everybody. I feel like we need some new people in City Council. We need people who are willing to work with everybody, who is willing to fight for our wards. We happen to all be in North Clarksville, I think that debated today. Fight for our side of the city to get the things that everybody else has, but also be willing to look across to the other side of town and work together and not fight about everything every single day. So it's about building a city and building a city that's good for all of us, not that's just good for one of us, and being able to work together to actually get things done. So, which I can do, and I'm really excited about it. And it's time to get some new people in and get new ideas and new things going. So I appreciate you guys' vote and Ward 5 and Summer Holloway. Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you for coming and hearing what we have to say. I'm not as fond of being up here talking in front of people, but it's something I'm trying to get used to. Like I said, and you probably can tell even more by now that I am for limited government, individual liberty, and it's something that I feel like is important. It's the role of government to protect the rights of people, and something you asked Mr. Watsfall that you didn't ask us was a politician, a public figure who we look up to, or I would say former Congressman Ron Paul, who inspired my political leanings. He was a Republican congressman for I think 12 terms, and he ran for president a couple times. And his message was just pretty powerful and changed. He made a big impact on people my age and towards the liberty movement, and that's been a big influence for me. So.
My name is Valerie Guzman. First of all, I'd like to say thank you all for making me feel comfortable. This is not what I love to do. I'm a get behind the curtain and work kind of girl. Seriously, I like to get it done. But you guys made me feel so comfortable, and I was nervous when I first came in here. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then he got it, and he was like, oh my gosh, he came deep. I don't even know if I have that deep. But Summer Holloway is right. We do need to stop the fighting, but if you ever watch me on City Council, I'm not part of that. I'm very much the peacekeeper in that. Not because I agree or disagree on either side, because I know that you can't get any work done if you fight. In the midst of that, I get why people are passionate, and passion is good, but we've got to figure out a way to be passionate without being offensive. Okay, we've sat at this table, same people for same ward, and we've never been bitter or malice to either one. And even as Joey's up here, I was like, you're doing really good, because I want to support his effort, because I'm not going to always do this. And I would love for my example would be why they would want to be in my seat later. But I'm ready to do 4 more years so I can finish what I started. My name is Valerie Guzman, and I appreciate the time and effort that you guys do out here. Thank you.
Give them a big round of applause. Is this better than the presidential debates? Who says it's better than presidential debates? I thought it was. Give them another round of applause. They deserve it. They were great. I believe it. And those were not softball questions, and they handled themselves great. I'm glad that y'all feel, I hope y'all feel comfortable and everything. I felt pretty good, so.